Hello, everybody. This is Zeeshan Hasan, a tutor for performance management. So, as you can see, performance management, March, June 2025, examiner's report. Okay, I'll be looking this examiner's report in pretty much detail for you guys, and this is one of the very important document for your exam preparations. As you know, uh, it is why it is important. It is important because in the recent exams, what the students did, what mistakes they made, how should have been things should have been done, and how they did, what were the mistakes, as I said earlier, which should have been avoided. Examiners, not any teacher or any XYZ Tom, Dick, and Harry, but the examiner is telling you. So it is important because so that you won't repeat those mistakes, and either you are repeating the exam or either you are the first time sitter. So you should be aware that what to do and what you should avoid. So let's start with it. Okay. These are the general comments about the examinations, as you can see. Okay. Uh, so let's move on. Well, again, in section A, it they look at four section A questions which prove to be particularly difficult for candidates. So here is the first example. Which of the following controls would be most effective ensuring that internal reports are properly generated and disturbed? Okay, receipts of reports agreed and updated on a regular basis, generation of reports carried out by end users, reports produced and distributed on a weekly basis. Regional directors produce a report for strategic decision making. Uh, well, what does this test examiner said that understanding of the controls required in generating, distributing internal information. And what's the correct answer? As you can see, recipients of reports agreed and updated on a regular basis. So, to approach this question, it was necessary to remember that controls should ensure that reports are accurate, okay, and are only received by those who require the information. So that was what examiner asking, and for this purpose only, the A part is the correct answer. You should have not been looking at other options. So first, then example two, the following information has been provided for division GDR for the first year. They had given you sales revenue, pre-tax operating profit, the tax and the average capital employed. So 11,700 of division GDR average capital employed related to non-current assets, plant and equipment. The company overall cost of capital is 6%, but due to the higher level of risk in its business area, division GDR cost of capital is 9%. So what is the residual income earned by the division GDR for the last year to the nearest whole? So again, what they were asking you the calculation of the residual income, measure of the divisional performance. Okay, so the correct answer, again, the examiner has given you, that is dollar 1,638. And the formula was for calculating residual income is operating profit less imputed interest. So operating profit was 3,420. Imputed interest is capital employed multiplied by divisional cost of capital. So the capital employed figure to be used will include the non-current assets. The appropriate cost of capital to be used for division GDR is 9%. So imputed interest is, you know, 19,800, the 9%, and you got 1,782. So residual income would be 3,420 minus 1782, and that is 1638. Simple and easy. Then example three, the new management accountant of Harvey Company wants to introduce cost volume profit CVP analysis. So indicate by clicking on the relevant boxes in the table below whether the following statements regarding cost volume profit analysis are true or false. Uh, Increasing fixed cost by 12% will increase the break-even point by more than 12%. The margin of safety depends on the sales budget and the break-even sales. Changes in the contribution to the sales ratio will be proportional to changes in the selling price. What does this test? Well, the understanding of cost volume profit analysis. Now, what are the correct answers? I mean, the correct answer is that margin of safety depends on the sales budget and the break-even sales is true. Okay, whereas the other two statements are false. Now, why is so? The break-even point is calculated by dividing total fixed costs contribution per unit. The relationship between fixed costs and the break-even point is direct, and so it's total fixed cost, which is increasing by 12%. The break-even point will also increase by 12%. The statement provided is therefore false as it refers to an increase in break-even point of more than that in fixed costs. Okay, so the margin of safety is calculated by comparing the budgeted or planned sales units with the break-even sales unit. The second statement, therefore, is true. Okay, the statement regarding contribution to sales CS ratio changes will easily proven true or false by use of simple figures. For example, a unit selling price of 20. So with variable cost of 12, the contribution per unit will be 8. So the CS ratio is therefore A divided by 20, that is equal to 4. So a 10% reduction in selling price, bringing it to 18, would lead to the falling contribution to $6 per unit. The new CS ratio is therefore 6 divided by 18, that is 0.33. So CS ratio has therefore fallen by 17.5%, which is evidently greater than that of the selling price reduction. The third statement again is false. The same approach is as used for the third statement could also have been applied to the first statement if confirmation of the answer was required. And then now last example for the section 8. Ilavra company produces a single product that passes through four production stages. The demand of the product is 220 units per month. The company uses throughput accounting and identified the following monthly machine usage and capacity in each of the four stages. Okay, we have machine usage, stage 1, 2, and 3 and 4. Machine usage capacity of stage 1, 120 hours, stage 2, 96 hours, stage 3, 64 hours, and stage 4, 180 hours. So, assuming that it is not possible to change the production cost or selling price, which of the following actions would improve the throughput accounting ratio of the product? Increasing the machine capacity in stage 1, increasing the machine capacity in stage 2, increase the machine capacity in stage 3, and uh, stage 4. Okay. So what does this task? The calculation involved in theory of constraints and throughput accounting. What is the correct answer? To increase the throughput accounting ratio, it is necessary to consider the formula and identify what can should be changed. Throughput accounting ratio, return per factory hour divided by cost per factory hour. Okay. Uh, I hope you know it. So the question information states cost and selling price cannot be changed so as to increase throughput accounting ratio. It will be necessary to do one of the following: reduce the hours required of the bottleneck resource, thereby increasing the numerator, or increase the total hours available of the bottleneck resource, reducing the denominator. So the answer option suggests that it will be the later approach that is followed. So it is therefore necessary to identify bottleneck resource that needs to be increased. Calculation is required in it. here, as the answer cannot be found simply by identifying the stage with the lowest number of total hours capacity or the highest time to produce a single unit. So, the maximum output per month for each production stage should be calculated. See what examiner is saying. So total hours available for that stage should be divided by the time taking per unit to identify how many could be produced if that stage were fully utilized. In stage one, each product unit takes 36 minutes, which is equal to zero point 0.6 hours. So the maximum output of this stage would be 120 hours divided by zero point 0.6 hours per unit. That is 200 units. So this can be repeated or remaining stages. As you can see, the stage one, two, three, and four data again. Okay. Um, Monthly machine capacity, machine usage, minutes per unit. Okay. And maximum output per unit. So it is evident in stage two is the bottleneck. It would be produce the lowest maximum possible output. Hence, if the capacity in stage two is increased, this would lead to an increase in the TPAR. Okay. Now the section B. In this section, again, we will look in detail the case covering relevant cost analysis from syllabus area C. It was tested. Hersmid Company manufactures a range of domestic furniture. Its finance director is currently reviewing the financial performance of three types of chairs which the company sells: the Comforto, Leisure, and Serenato. Recent results for the last trading period are as follows. As you can see, we have revenue, variable cost, contribution attributable fixed cost, general fixed cost, and profit and loss for uh, all three companies. Houseman Company Finance Director believes that it is clear from these recent results that the company should continue to sell the Comporo, but is unsure whether it should continue to produce the other two chairs. Quotation from Hamper Company, Hersmith Company Finance Director is considering outsourcing the manufacture of some or all of the chairs and has received the following quotation from Hamper Company. Here it is. Okay, so the residential home order. Hersmith Company has received a bulk order of the Comfro for a large group of residential homes. To be able to meet the order, the company will require additional machine capacity. It could use a machine which it purchased for 80,000 2 years ago, which has a resale value of 90,000 and a current replacement of 120,000. Okay, if this machine was used for the manufacture of other products, it could generate net income of 110,000. Okay, so then Belgraph company order. Belgraph company wishes to place a special order for the Serenato chairs, which it plans to use for the part of its refurbishment of one of its largest offices. Housemate Company Finance Director is considering charging a minimum price for this order to gain business from Belgraph Company. He believes that satisfactorily fulfilling the order result in further more profitable order in the future. Now, based only on the recent results provided, which, if any of the chairs should Housemate Company cease to produce, the Lizardo only, the Serenato only, the both the Lizardo and the Serenato, neither the Lezane or nor the Serenato. So the correct answer here is A. How? Let's see. The decision relies on the identification of relevant costs and revenues per product range to be discontinued. Revenue and variable costs will be considered relevant to this decision. Would attributable fixed costs, since if the product is no longer made, this can cash flows would cease. This is it is necessary to calculate relevant profit or loss for each product as revenue, variable cost, attributable fixed cost. Any product that generates the relevant loss should be discontinued and its production were to cease, Hersmith would be better off for the leisure. The figure is a loss of 100. For the Serenato, the figure is profit of 100. Hence, correct answer is to cease production of the leisure only. Next question is which of the following, if any, would be valid reasons for Husband community to continue to manufacture a chair which was budgeted to make a loss? The chair is a complementary product to other products. Selling the chair at a loss can be a way to gain market share. A only, B only, one only, two only, both one and two, or neither one or two. Well, the correct answer is C. Now, why? Let's see. Chair is complementary to other profitable products. Ceasing to sell the chair cost affect the profitability of other products. So this is correct. Selling at a loss can be a deliberate strategy to increase the market share. So this is correct. That means it is a loss leader product. Now, based on the quotation from the hamper company, which of the chairs should be continue to be manufactured internally? Serenato only, Comforto only, Serenato, Comforto only, Comforto and Leisure only. Well, A is the answer. Why so? Let's see. A make a make or buy decision can be made by either comparing the relevant cost of each option or by calculating the net cost from one option. So, if a chair type is purchased from Hamper, the relevant cost would be purchase price quoted. If a chair type is to be manufactured internally, the relevant cost would be variable cost incurred plus the attributable fixed cost. Net cost of internal manufacture is calculated, uh, you know, mm, variable cost, attributable and fixed cost, less say purchase cost from hamper, net cost of internal manufacturer. So Serenato is the only product where there is a benefit to be found from continuing to manufacture internally. For the other two products, there would be a net saving if they were to be purchased from hamper. So the question for is what is the relevant cost of the machine required for the order for the residual homes? And the answer is 110,000. Original purchase price 80,000, which is not relevant to the decision as this cost is historic and therefore it is a sunk cost. Machine is used by the company at present, generating a net income of 100,000, 110,000, I mean, higher than its value is, you can see, 90,000. To utilize this machine for the residual home and housemate would have to either cease production of other products by losing the 110,000 net income or purchase a new machine at a cost of 120,000. The lower of these option is the 110,000, which is therefore relevant cost of this asset. And then next question, question five. Identify by clicking on the relevant boxes in the table below whether each statement about the minimum pricing approach suggested by the finance director of the order from Belgraph company is true or false. Well, first one, the cost which minimum price should are incremental cost and opportunity cost only. It is true. Okay. It can lead to the product perceived value in the market being eroded. It is true again. And then the last one, the price can be easily raised on a subsequent orders without affecting customers' retention. It's false. Okay. Now see why. A minimum price is based on the relevant cost, which would be the total of increment and opportunity cost only. Okay, setting a minimum price to a business can lead to the perceived value of product being eroded, as customers can view cheap as being consistent with low quality. It can actually be difficult to increase the price of subsequent orders if the minimum price sets the expectation of the customer. Hence, this last statement is false. Okay. Now, Section C, here we did get two constructed response question from different syllabus area. The full questions and solution have been published, are available on the ACCA practice platform. You can go there, you can practice those questions. I will do it as well for you. So keep following so that you can watch the solutions, how to solve those questions. Okay. Now, Eastern Hospitals Trust. Okay. It was from the section E. performance measurement and control, specifically covering performance analysis issues, not for profit organizations and public sector organizations. It is important to remember syllabus areas can be tested, and therefore a broad knowledge of the syllabus is required. Therefore, one of the questions you will always get from this performance measurement area in section C. So be ready for it. Then Eastern Hospital Trust (EHT) is not for profit organization running three hospitals. The hospitals are suited in different regions and funded by government. The scenario provided some key information. This has been a reduction in funding, which will have a significant impact on EHT. Okay, production, reduction in funding will reduce the resources available and therefore the level of service they are able to provide. Their overall objectives is also provide top quality medical services which are quick to access and supported by the excellent patient care. So it is important to consider this is a response being made to the requirement. A challenge with public sector organization is that they have multiple objectives to achieve within funding constraints. Uh, Requirement A1 had 3 marks, define economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. Three is a value for money context. So this was a very straightforward requirement. What is efficiency? What economy? Less input, the provide the less input to get your desired objective. Economy, efficiency, out of the minimum input, get the maximum output to achieve the output, and the effectiveness is get the job done, get the objective. So that's what the value for money, which you had to explain. 3 marks, 3 to 4 lines, which I just said would be enough. Okay, so again, see what examiner is saying. This requirement should be straightforward, requiring the definitions of the three value for money element. This is testing knowledge, not application. Three definitions are required, and there are three available marks, so one for each definition. That's it. When asked for a definition, it is important to ensure the definition is complete, will provide a clear understanding of the term or topic for the reader. So economy can be defined as the extent to which services of an acceptable quantity and quality are provided at the lower cost is possible. So economy is minimum cost. It is not enough to gain a mark if you just do this. You will get zero. Okay. Uh, then the second requirement, 4 marks. Explain why it is important that EST uses a balanced mix of performance measures across the three E's. So in contrast to part A1, this part requires application to EHT. Now you had to apply three E's to the scenario, right? So to note the verb in this requirement is to explain, and therefore a bullet point or short sentence is not enough. You had to link your knowledge with the scenario and you have to describe those in the paragraphs. Either this would have been the small paragraphs, but this should have been the paragraphs, not the uh, you know bullet points. So this part was not well answered. See what examiner is saying, that candidates failed to meet the requirement and repeated part A1 with an explanation of economy, efficiency, and effectiveness, or simply provided the measures which would be used by EHT. That was not required. The focus of this requirement is why a balanced mix is important. This is looking for an explanation of why EHE need to have measures across economy, efficiency, and effectiveness, not why they are measuring it each individually. So there is important information provided in the scenario to consider when developing and the response to the question. Government reducing funds, impact on economy, reduction in staff, impact on efficiency, and overall objectives on top quality medical service quickly to access and excellent patient care effectiveness. If you had done that, you, You might have passed. Okay. Now, secondly, consideration to the link between the three E's. Restriction on funding, reducing on the resources the hospitals will have available, less equipment and consumables or lower quality purchases will impact the quality of medical services. Reduction in staff will impact the waiting time as well, quality of service, and all of these can reduce the quality of patient care. So, those who responded good on the importance of not over focusing on the area of our performance with funding being reduced to HT, there is a risk too much emphasis is played on cost control economy and they are not achieving their overall objective. That is effectiveness. There is an interrelationship between economy, efficiency, and effectiveness, and these need to be balanced, maintaining good performance from economic perspective while maintaining effectiveness. A balance of performance measure across three is in need to make sure EHT staff are working efficiently to meeting the waiting time targets. Okay. Now, well, this was the big 9 marks requirement. Discuss the performance of the three hospitals using the performance data provided. Okay. Wow, this was well answered by the majority of the students who were able to identify appropriate performance data to discuss under each heading. The requirement here is very specific. Discuss the performance under the headings of economy, efficiency, effectiveness. Who did not use these headings were unable to effectively link the performance discussion to the appropriate E and missed out on marks. It is important to use data together with notes provided, table in the scenario to able to discuss performance or to clear performance measures included under more than one heading, but credit could only be given than once. Economy overspent compared to budget. Average cost per unit efficiency was, percentage of emergency who describes services as excellent. Quality rating score. Uh, sorry, emergency percentage of emergency patients treated within 4 hours, percentage non-efficiency emergency patient appointments scheduled within 12 weeks, effectiveness 12 percentage of patients who described services as excellent quality rating score. Let's go on. A good response included discussion to compare performance across the three hospitals, not simply stating which was higher or lower, but highlighting where performance was good or poor. The measure should be reviewed, not be viewed in isolation. Consideration can be given to how each hospital is performing across three E's. For example, Mid East is performing well from the efficiency point of view, with a high proportion of emergency patients treated within 4 hours, non-emergency appointments scheduled in 12 weeks. However, their effectiveness is poor, with the worst quality ratings for percentage of patients rating services was excellent. East have focused on efficiency to the detriment of effectiveness. Discuss two challenges EHT might face while measuring the performance of its overall objectives. So the focus of this question is measuring of performance, not on the performance of EHT. So very badly performed, as examiner is saying. See what examiner is saying. See, this was poorly answered with many responses failing to address the requirement and instead discussing the challenges EHT might face with their performance. So it's clearly misunderstanding of requirement. That's why I always say understand the requirement. Read the requirement once, at least 2 to 3 times before answering your response. So here, what you should have been done. Firstly, consider challenges which may occur in measuring performance. That is, data accuracy, data quality, quality versus quantitative, multiple key performance indicators. Uh, System available integration, bias and subjectivity, employee resistance to gather or recording data, customer resistance to providing data, time and effort required to collect clean data. Okay. Then, secondly, given the information provided in the scenario, identify which of these challenges are relevant to AHT to be discussed. Data accuracy, subjectivity, customer resistance, data quality, subjectivity, time and effort to collect data. Okay, so good response correctly identify two challenges and provided relevant information to the challenges faced by EHT. So it may be difficult to refer to, and here is the article I will share with you guys as well. Okay, which was the exam technique written by the member of PM examining team that provided full explanation of a approach to technical questions such as this one. Okay, then we have the last question. This question is from budgeting and control section. Okay. So quality tire company is a manufacturing company making and selling two types of tires for motor vehicles, the basic and the sport. Its main customers are commercial ones such as the garages and car repair shops. The company has been using activity-based costing for 1 year and wants to take it step further and start using activity-based budgeting too. Okay. The scenario provides key information about drivers and cost driver rates, as well as information such as batch size, the frequency of the quality inspections, etc. It also contains details about opening, inventory levels, sales levels, closing inventory, so that production quantities can be forecast by the candidates for the following year. Using the template provided, complete the activity-based budget for overheads for quality tire for the year ended 31st December X1. So here was the response. Candidates were required to complete the template provided and calculate the activity-based budget cost for the 2000 X1 for each cost driver at tire type, showing that total budget cost for each cost driver in the first. Points relating to the calculating or calculation of budgeted cost for each cost driver are dealt with in turn below. Okay. This one was a lengthier calculations required. Total number of orders from X0 was given in the question. The first adjustment that had to be made to calculate the expected number of orders for the following year. Taken into account that was an overall probability of the 25% decrease in order numbers for each tire type. Okay, combined with an increase in the driver rate, the budgeted cost for each could then be calculated. Where candidates showed their workings, they were able to get the follow-on marks for the cost, even if their probability calculation was incorrect. See how generous is the examiner is. Even you did calculate the you know, cost related calculations. You got the follow-on marks, even it was your calculation was wrong. Store requisitions cost. These were the most straightforward calculation in the question, as the number of store requisition of each tire type was given and required no adjustment. The cost rate again need to be inflated by only 5%. This was the first cost that required candidates to calculate the production quantity each tire for the following year before attempting to work out the number of batches that would be produced. Therefore, the number of setups that would be needed, the machine need to be set up at the end of each batch completion. The question gave predicted sales volume and opening inventory figures. The policy for holding inventory was also given so that candidates could calculate the closing inventory figures. Production quantities would then be estimated as follows: sales volume plus closing inventory minus opening inventory. So since the production quantity affected both machine setup cost and quality inspection cost, it was crucial. Workings were displayed in answers. Once production quantities had been calculated, the batch size and therefore the number of setup could be calculated, dividing the production quantity by the number of tires in a batch. The cost driver rate also need to be inflated by 5%, then applied to the number of setups. Quality inspection costs. The production quantities for each tire type also drove the number of quantity inspections that would be needed, one for every 50 tires produced. Sales ordering costs. In the question, it stated that the 40 of each tire were ordered on average by a customer. The number of orders would then be calculated by dividing the sales quantities by 40. Delivery cost, this was the biggest cost calculation in the question. This was because delivery costs were semi variable and high low method had to be used to calculate the total fixed cost and variable cost per unit. After doing this, variable costs need to be inflated by 10% and the fixed cost by 5%. Okay. The number of deliveries followed from the number of sales or orders. So some of the calculations were very lengthy, and while it's advisable to put formula in the cells in the spreadsheet's response area, if formula are too long, this often leads candidates to make errors. The advice is therefore to limit the cells to showing workings for simple calculations. Only do a separate working if a formula would be very long. That's the examiner advice, and you should follow it. Requirement B, 6 marks. Explain three difficulties which should be forced by organization when implementing an activity-based budgeting. Explanation. This requirement was generic. Okay, there was no need to apply to the quality trials. That's just a knowledge based. So unfortunately, huh? Answer to this part of the questions were weak. Come on, guys, don't do this. It was, knowledge based question. You should have answered it like that. So the first point to note is that the requirement use the word explain. This means that some kind of explanation was needed in order to earn marks. A significant number of students gave answer like the below. AB is costly, ABB is difficult. He required the explanation. Explain three difficulties which faced by the organization. He didn't ask for disadvantages. Guys, what are you doing, man? They made no attempt to explain in what regard. That is, they gave no context for their point. Reference needed to be made to the fact. For example, that is the implementation of the system. That is expensive. It needs to be justified by the cost benefit analysis. It is the gathering on the information that can be difficult. A sentence like A, P, B is costly is not actually saying anything, and points like this for which no context is given should be avoided and get zero. So that's the overall examiner reports and see what she is saying to you guys. Uh, Anyways, if you guys have any questions regarding it, that's my WhatsApp. And that's it for now. See you soon.